In this day and age, misinformation is easier to expose yourself to than ever. Social media, newspapers, interviews taken out of context, it can be extremely difficult to find out who's telling the truth and who's trying to conceal stuff from you. For example, I am British, not American. Misinformation is one of the main themes of what I believe to be the greatest episode of Doctor Who of all time, Midnight. Midnight's brilliance stems from its simplicity. It's a story about human nature, the spread of misinformation and hysteria. It puts the Doctor in a position where he's nothing but prey, cornered by an invisible predator. It's also, in my opinion, the scariest episode of Doctor Who, not to say that Doctor Who hasn't been blessed by some extremely terrifying monsters such as the aliens, the Silence... I said the aliens, there's lots of aliens. The Angels, the Silence, the Absorbalob... Cassandra?
Moisturize me.
But nothing in Doctor Who comes close to the nuanced, claustrophobic terror of Midnight. Airing on June 14th, 2008, the episode follows the Doctor and Donna as they embark on a well-deserved vacation to the planet Midnight. Seemingly bored with sunbathing, the Doctor decides to embark on a tour of the planet's surface while Donna stays behind to catch some rays. The planet is absolutely uninhabitable, apart from the resort, and not much, if anything, is known about it. It's believed that nothing could possibly withstand the sheer power of the sunlight that shines on the planet's surface. So when the Doctor's tour vehicle breaks down and something begins knocking on the door, the Doctor and his new acquaintances have to figure out what on earth is happening, what kind of danger they're in, and who, if anyone, they can trust. The show starts off in typical Doctor Who whimsy. Donna is pictured in a safe and spacious environment, juxtaposing what the Doctor is about to embark on. She is relaxed, as is the Doctor. The Doctor even addresses how things could go south on his trip, but plays it off as a joke.
Taking a big space truck with a bunch of strangers across a diamond planet called Midnight?
What could possibly go wrong?
The atmosphere when we first see the Doctor aboard the tour is very airy and calm. The lighting is extremely bright and inviting, elevator music fills the air, and it looks like we're in for a very wholesome and fun little journey. We are introduced to the tour hostess, who seems professional but a tad dismissive towards the Doctor's enthusiasm. We then meet Professor Hobbs and Dee Dee Blasco, two scientists. We immediately know what kind of characters they are by the way Hobbs introduces himself. He's a seemingly intelligent man who has an underlying sense of being up his own arse. And his assistant Dee Dee, who seems very smiley and eager, but is shut down when trying to be friendly towards the Doctor. This kind of establishes the power dynamic between the two characters. We get a short shot of Skye, whose body language has all the hallmarks of an introvert. The Doctor tries to shoot her a friendly look so as to potentially initiate conversation, but Skye just looks away and ignores him. Then we meet the Kane family. Jethro, the youngest member of the tour group, a typical teenager who seems to have a rocky relationship with his father, Biff, who is a combative Karen, and actually looks like an evil version of Chris Broad, and Val, who seems pleasant and just happy to be along for the ride. None of these characters are truly special or unique apart from the Doctor. It's their normalcy that makes the events that unfold throughout the story all the more compelling. Watching these ordinary people succumb to gaslighting, hearsay and hysteria, watching them abandon their morality in order to save themselves, it wouldn't be as impactful if they were a group of mercenaries hunting a bounty. They're just a group of ordinary people who wanted to go on tour. Once the vehicle finally initiates moving, the shutters come down, an alarm sounds, and the bright colours that surrounded the room begin to dim. The characters seem happy about this, but they shouldn't be, as this is definitely symbolic of the total isolation they're about to face. It's established that the tour is diverting the path it normally takes due to a diamond fall. I'm sure this won't be an issue since the drivers clearly know what they're doing. Luckily for the group, the entertainment is working. The Doctor uses his sonic screwdriver to deactivate the entertainment system and then turns around to the group and says,
Tell you what, we'll have to talk to each other instead.
We then get a montage of all the characters interacting, sharing anecdotes and laughing. This is the calm before the storm. Biff tells a story about him showing up with a nose plug to a concept pool, a pool that is merely a concept. This foreshadows how it's in his nature to jump the gun and rush into decisions. The montage also gives us further insight into Dee Dee. She admits that there's a lack of respect between her and Professor Hobbs, which you can see she clearly resents. However, she quickly moves on from this topic and changes the subject. This frames her as a non-confrontational person. Try to remember this later on. We also get a nice moment between Skye and the Doctor where they trade anecdotes about loved ones that they've lost. But as you'll come to realise, Skye's past doesn't matter nearly as much as her immediate future. Professor Hobbs also gives a lecture about Midnight and his research on it. He tells the characters that no living thing had ever set foot on Midnight before the tour company was set up. Jethro asks him how he knows that, and Val immediately shuts his enthusiasm down, perhaps giving us a look into why Jethro hates his parents. But then the vehicle breaks down and Jethro makes a comment about how they're all stuck in the middle of nowhere in order to scare the group. So maybe he's just a knob.
We've broken down.
Thanks, Jethro.
In the middle of nowhere.
The Doctor, in typical fashion, uses his psychic paper and walks us into the cockpit to investigate the problem. The Doctor gets the drivers to open up the front window, which you're definitely not supposed to do. One of the drivers swears he can see something lurking in the distance. I'm sure it's nothing though, nothing could possibly be alive out there. The Doctor goes back to his seat and waits for the rescue truck to come and get everyone. The end. For real though, this is where the hysteria starts. Immediately as the Doctor sits down, Dee Dee starts questioning him about his explanation of events and starts poking holes in his story. She seems just genuinely curious and not all that worried. Her demeanour is very calm. Until Professor Hobbs jumps in and makes assumptions about the air supply situation, which then gets overheard by the Kanes, and we have a full-on argument on our hands. The Doctor manages to halt the argument and bring calm back, though. Only for about 10 seconds. Because something, or someone, is banging on the walls. The hostess tries to remain professional throughout all that's happening, but even her persona is slipping. The banging continues all around the vehicle, rousing the group more and more. Biff knocks on the door 3 times, and whatever's outside knocks 3 times back. Something's out there. Something's really out there. As afraid as the group is, nobody appears more afraid than Sky. She begins hysterically yelling as if someone's talking to her, only nobody is. She begins pleading with whatever's talking to her. She says it's got... What's got? It's getting closer. It's getting closer. It's coming. It's... Everyone seems okay despite the ruckus. They're all unharmed. Hobbs, Dee Dee, the hostess, Jethro, Biff, Val, and the Doctor. The cabin has been ripped from the vehicle along with both drivers, but it's okay because...
Help is on its way. They saved our lives. We are gonna get out of here, I promise.
The rescue team will be here in an hour too, so nothing to worry about. I feel like I'm forgetting something though. Oh yeah. Sky... Sky is crouched down in the corner holding her head. Eventually she slowly turns around. She looks okay, but vacant and wide-eyed. She starts repeating everything the group says, hesitantly at first. Her body language is alien, like she's analysing every second of time as it passes her by. The whole group become more and more hysterical, talking and talking and talking, and the monster inside Sky is learning and learning and learning, whipping its neck around and glaring at anyone who speaks, repeating their every word. The lights come on for a brief moment of respite, but the respite is broken by the talking again, and now Sky is talking at the exact same time as anyone else, word for word. The Doctor's enjoying this a little bit too much, isn't he? Whatever's inside of her knows what you're going to say before you say it. The group huddles together at the back of the vehicle to keep away from Sky, or whatever Sky is now. Whilst they're discussing, the seeds of doubt begin to be sown. Val questions the Doctor, but he shuts her down in typical Doctor fashion. He tells the group that as soon as the rescue comes, they should get Sky to a hospital, but then the situation takes a sharp and dark turn when the hostess makes a suggestion.
We should throw her out.
I beg your pardon?
The mask of professionalism has slipped. She's willing to throw Sky out of the vehicle, to murder her. Val's happy to do it. Biff's happy to do it. Hell, even sweet Dee Dee is willing to get involved. The Doctor tries to plead to their better nature to no avail. Dee Dee misinterprets the Doctor believing the monster inside Sky is growing in strength. Hob tries to calm things down as well, but it does nothing. The Doctor tells them,
If you try to throw her out that door, you'll have to get past me first.
But now the whole group is questioning the Doctor, prying into everything he's done before and since he embarked on the tour. How did he know to go inside the panel to check the wiring? Why was he talking to Skye at the beginning? Who's Donna and what was he saying to her on the phone? And why is he enjoying this so much? The group are now stood there, laying into the Doctor, gaslighting him into oblivion. The Doctor backpedals and tries once again to appeal to the group, but we're far past that point by now. Val and Biff come up with an idea of their own.
Oh, come on! Just listen to yourself, please!
Do you mean we throw him out as well?
The Doctor's composure completely slips. He looks terrified. His body language is completely different now. He holds his hands in front of himself in defense as he backs away. This is the moment the episode goes from being a frightening and uncomfortable affair to a bleak and threatening one. As I previously stated, the Doctor's been in much bigger situations. He saved the day countless times just by doctoring the situation, waving his sonic screwdriver around and giving a big speech. But this time there's a different sort of fear in him. He never minces his words, he never backtracks, he never goes on the defensive. He relies on his intellect and his problem-solving skills to get himself out of jams like this. But he's faced with 6 people that he couldn't possibly reason with. 6 terrified, normal people who just want to go home, who are floundering and panicked because they don't know what's happening to them now or what will happen next. The fact that the Doctor, this mighty being, almost a god, essentially a god, is unable to get through to them, it's horrendous. Because he's no fighter. If they want to throw him off the vehicle, they will do it, and he couldn't stop them. He is at the complete and utter mercy of these people. Of all the situations the Doctor's found himself in, no matter how complex, no matter how bleak, and no matter how much the odds were stacked against him, this episode stands above the rest as the closest the Doctor has ever gotten to being killed forever. Right when the Doctor's at his most scared and vulnerable, the repeating seems to have stopped. There's a brief sense of relief amongst the group, but once again, the relief is fleeting, because the repeating is only happening when the Doctor speaks. The Doctor crouches face to face with Skye and tries to appeal to the monster within, except now, the monster's ahead of the Doctor. It's got him. It's controlling him through Skye. The Doctor is visibly terrified as he is unable to move, slurring every word as he repeats whatever Skye says. The monster inside of Skye, now seemingly sentient, asks the group to dispose of the Doctor, which they have no problems with doing. Val yells at Biff, who leaps into action. Jethro stands there crying but hesitantly helps. Professor Hobbs refuses and then gets involved anyways. Dee Dee refuses to take part. She's the only person at this point who can see what's really going on. And the hostess? Well, the hostess is away from everyone standing there. She slowly realises the true nature of the situation, and the monster taunts the Doctor over and over and over again as he is dragged towards the door by Hobbs, Jethro and Biff. The penny drops with the hostess, and she finally realises what has to happen. She grabs Skye, opens the door, and the pair of them fly out onto the surface of midnight. And in the immediate aftermath, all the Doctor can muster are these words.
It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
20 minutes pass by. The group is despondent, and presumably none of them have said a word to each other, until the Doctor says,
The hostess. What was her name?
the perfect crescendo to a story all about selfishness, hysteria, and human nature. They were all so wrapped up in themselves that no one even bothered to learn the name of the woman who saved them, and it's highly likely none of them will ever learn her name, as she, along with Skye, are lost in the midnight. The quality of Midnight speaks for itself, so I would genuinely recommend that you guys go and watch it in your spare time. I don't know where in the world you guys are, but VPNs exist, so go to NordVPN. I'm not sponsored, and this video is definitely going to get copyright claimed, so if NordVPN want to sponsor me, I am definitely available and willing. For although it's an incredible piece of television, and I would firmly recommend you experience it for yourself, because I've only really scratched the surface of its brilliance. I've just talked about the aspects that appeal to me the most, the ones that stood out to me the most. I also hope that you guys like my new setup. I decided to abandon the previous camera angle that I was working with, the one where it just kind of looked like your brother has called you into his games room to talk to you about random insert subject here. So yeah, I hope you guys like the new setup. To be honest, I should probably turn the light on, it's quite dark. Hopefully that worked. In all seriousness, thank you so much for watching. This video is definitely going to get absolutely ignored by the algorithm, so those of you that have made it this far into the video, huge thank you, that's amazing. Please subscribe if you want to see more content. I am trying to hit one video every single Friday, and the subject matter will be extremely inconsistent, and I have no idea what I'm making in terms of next week. So yeah, please subscribe if you like my content, obviously. Leave a like and a comment saying what you thought, and if you leave a dislike, that's fine, because at least you felt something. Bye.